Hey, my name is Adrian Culler, Coach Culler, Culler's Barbershop and Supply Store. Welcome to another episode of Cut to the Chase here at Culler's Barbershop. It's more of a spiritual / real life barbershop conversation, and we like to do exactly that. By the end of the segment, we want to really dig into people and cut to the chase and see what God really put inside them and how they've got it out so that they can make their life more purposeful and, add to the scenario while they're on this planet Earth. But that's us. We got a really cool guest. It's a pleasure and an honor to introduce to most and reintroduce to others. I like to give people their flowers. That's kind of cliche nowadays. And even though I kept running into this young brother, I respect him and his family. I know his brothers, his mother, and I would see them along their journey. But when you look at what's hot in the news now with the Deion Sanders and NIL and stuff like that, I thought about a local guy, right? That was actually our Deion Sanders story. Can I give you your flowers today? I set you up for that one, huh? Yeah. I was like, we was talking about two sport athletes. We had the conversation of Travis Hunter. Would he play both ways? Different things like that. And in respect of us running, ain't that weird how we just kept running into each other over and over?
Yep.
Last few weeks or whatever, last month or so. And I said, no, actually, Devon Torrence. He played two sports. Did you ever run track too?
I would do like little invitationals and stuff, and we didn't have a baseball game or something on a Saturday.
Yeah, just go out there and win everything, and he was like,
try to at least.
That's some Deion Sanders stuff. When he ran his 40, they said he got out the car, ran it, and jumped back in the car or something.
And just left, yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate you, man, being the guest and agreeing to do the interview. What I like to do is welcome everybody, make them feel comfortable. It is a barbershop. We're not in a barber chair, but so we'll take the time and appreciate that platform, the barbershop platform.
Absolutely.
Often the black man's country club. Not to just talk black, because I'm sure the white guys have just as authentic relationships.
Yeah.
But I want to hear more about your story. I know you, but I really don't know you. Mm-hmm. And I even did a little research and was Googling. You Google your name, it's like a ton of stuff. You ever Google your name?
I have. I ain't gonna lie.
It's pretty crazy, ain't it?
I have.
Yeah,
man.
It's pretty dope.
I mean, I've been blessed, man. You know what I mean? I had the opportunity to, travel the world doing what I love to do, playing football and baseball. The opportunity to go to Ohio State, you know what I'm saying? So I've been extremely blessed, throughout my life and my career. So, just looking forward, right now, just paying it forward, giving back and stuff like that. So
that's dope. Yeah. So we're gonna dig into it. So I don't screw the intro up. Let's do it this way. You played for Ohio State. I know you're a two sport athlete. Played at Canton South, right? You born and raised in Canton South or born and raised in Canton?
Born and raised in Canton.
So,
yeah.
I remember you Little League Jags, am I right?
Vikings and the Jags.
Vikings and the Jags.
Northeast Canton, Ohio.
The Torrence brothers was just ripping it up. Devon and Devon Torrence was buzzing. I think when I first start coaching youth league football, or it might have been slightly after, but I just would hear the buzzword. And it was interesting because I played with your brother, obviously. He was at McKinley when I was at Glen Oak.
Yeah.
So we was always real tight. And I would see him working with y'all at like the batting cage, Grand Slam.
Yeah,
so I knew he had little brothers. I knew y'all before y'all knew me. So as you start making a name for yourself, that's what happens. More people know you. That's what I always tell kids I coach. Then you know them. So kind of watch your behavior and different stuff because they watching you. And I knew y'all as Julius or Juice's younger brothers. Like he got some younger brothers that he getting together. That's nice. So anyway, for the intro, Canton South High School, Ohio State, Astros.
Houston Astros, yep.
Houston Astros. Take us from there. Where else did you play at?
I ended up signing with the Minnesota Vikings shortly after the combine and the NFL draft. From there, I went to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Wow.
Then went back to the Astros. From there, I ended up signing with the New York Jets, and I think I did like a rookie camp with Carolina.
Wow.
Shot up to the CFL for a quick second, and then came back to baseball with the Kansas City Royals.
Wow.
And then kind of, took a break for a couple years, and then ended up signing in the Atlantic League, which is basically the equivalent of maybe a CFL or kind of what they got going on with this XFL,
right,
USFL deal where, guys would, let's say, who's the third baseman for the Guardians right now? I can't think of it.
I don't know.
Jose
no.
Ramirez.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, let's say Jose Ramirez got released. He won't. But let's say he did. He'd come to this league, play for a little bit, get picked back up.
Okay.
So it's something like that.
Like a basketball G League?
Yeah,
somewhat?
You can say like it's a step above though because
Okay.
just the level of play is, major league guys coming down.
Yeah.
They didn't get picked up right at the trade deadline. They got to go play somewhere to stay ready. You know what I mean?
Just
Something
keep them fresh.
Yeah.
That's pretty dope.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go back. I appreciate that. So I didn't screw up the interview. I didn't want to discredit anything because I Googled something. I was like, wow, I knew you made it to the league. I really didn't know where all you played at.
It's been
Baseball
a journey, man.
Or football. So that's what I think is cool. So take us back. If we go past, present, future, just touch on your past. Let's go start off maybe youth league.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, right here, Canton, Ohio. Born and raised here. We lived in Germany for a while because my dad was in the Army. So we lived over there till I was about maybe 6 or 7.
So where were you born at?
I was born here.
But you moved to Germany?
We moved to Germany.
Super dope. How many years was y'all over there?
Man, I can't really remember. I remember coming back here like about 6, 7, somewhere in there.
Wow.
And then we lived with my grandma for a little bit. And then my mom.
Grandma, shout out Grandma, lived around the
Grandma
corner here?
Deborah, yep, right here.
Yeah, I remember meeting your brother there.
Yep. And stayed there for about a year. And then my mom, it was me and her one day. And she was like, we're going to go look at this apartment.
Yeah.
And so we went over here, right over here. It's over on Young. So we went over there, and she liked it. I remember her like lifting me up to look in the window to see if it was a refrigerator in there.
Right.
And, it was or whatever. But yeah, so we moved in there, and from that point, she said she was going back to nursing school.
Yeah.
And she did that.
So Young, I'm thinking like 12th Street area. Off of 12th Street?
Off of Lippert, Young,
Lippert.
right there by Washington. So
wow, nice.
Yeah, we went over there, and I think I started playing football about 9 years old. Me and Devon, and my cousins and kids in the neighborhood, we'd be in the front yard right there, throwing the football around and stuff like that. And my brother Julius pulls up. He would always pull up when he was coming back from Akron and stuff. And he was like, "Y'all want to play football?" And of course, me and Devon said, "Yeah." And he was like, "All right, we'll see." And so he took us down the street to what is that? Cooks Park right there, where the Vikings was practicing at.
You have Coach Jeter?
Did have Coach Jeter. My God,
shout out Coach Jeter.
Yeah, Coach
One
Jeter.
of the OGs. Shout out RC in the Canton Midget League football. We got to get him on the podcast.
Yeah, man.
As tough as people make it for him, or as tricky as he would be, doing all kind of stuff, I love him because he gave a lot of us, the majority of us, a platform.
Yeah.
And he needs his flowers.
Yeah, all those guys do. Yeah. All the little league coaches in Canton basketball, Coach Jeter, Lionel Bush, RC,
shout out Coach Bush,
and all the ones that we can't really name or whatever, man. Like I would see a lot of guys, as I come back, I'm at the grocery store or something like that. They'll come up to me, or I'll just remember a face, like, man, I remember you. So that stuff plays a huge part in the development of, your character at an early age.
Right, foundation.
It meant a lot to me. Like Coach Jeter, would pick me up, take me home, coaches like that, man. So I appreciate all my little league coaches, man. I'll never forget any of them. So
did you ever beat the Falcons when you played for the Jags?
I remember playing the Falcons like one time, man.
Yeah.
I remember playing the Falcons. Our rivals was the Panthers.
Was it the Panthers?
Yeah, they was the squad.
I'm losing.
Man.
I'm getting older, I guess. Is Demetrius Hall, Demetrius Hall, is he older or younger than you?
He's the same age.
So did you play against Meaty?
Yeah, he was the dude.
What about Morgan?
Yeah.
You played against Morgan?
Yep.
So that means I was coaching the Falcons because I had Morgan.
And Joe Morgan was on there too.
I had Joe Morgan.
Right?
He was our slot receiver.
Yeah.
I had Eric McCullum was our quarterback. Who else I had? Raymar was a wideout.
Yep.
Todd Brown.
Yeah,
Todd
that's
Brown was a
crazy
wideout.
Squad right there.
That's crazy. So y'all was on the Jags. See, that's what I get. I was coaching. I'm telling on myself. I was coaching for the Falcons, but sneaking and watching y'all.
Yeah.
But it was that era y'all had a ton of talent. Period.
A lot.
Because
Yeah.
all the media in them was the Panthers, and heck, they was loaded. They had a couple of the Reeves boys, I want to say. There was a young cat, Juice. He was huge, big tank looking dude.
Mm-hmm.
Or nickname Juice. Big
I
dark
want to
skin
say
dude.
I remember that.
I forget his real name. But yeah, okay, so take us from there.
So yeah, we ended up, went to the Vikings, started playing there. Didn't really play my first year, stuck it out. Ended up coming back being the starter. Developed a lot of relationships there with guys like Stevie Height,
Yeah.
Zach Leonard. I think Raymar was on that team. He was crazy fast back then.
Morgan?
Yep, Raymar Morgan.
Wow, we ended up getting him for the Falcons.
Because he was Todd, Raymar, and those guys. They all a year older than me.
That's what I was thinking.
They left
yeah.
a little bit before.
Okay. Yep,
so,
yep.
But yeah, from there, man, went to the Jags.
DC was DC in there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Alexander.
Yep. DC was there. He played for the Eagles, and then I want to say DC went to the Falcons too.
Yeah, I had DC and Morgan. That was my backfield years ago. That was my first year coaching. Ain't that funny?
Yep.
So that's cool.
So yeah, from there went to the Jags, and then like I said, my mom, was in nursing school, and she finally was getting ready to graduate, and it was time to get up, off from over there. So we went to Canton South, and there was a group of.
What year? Where's that? Freshman year or y'all?
This is
junior
8th
high?
grade because
8th grade? Okay.
we didn't have the school I was at. We didn't have a middle school football program.
Okay.
And my mom, I don't think she even really cared, but she just was ready to move from the. From over there, and there was a new development of houses being built in Canton South.
Yeah.
And so, we went over there. We was one of the first people to move in Vienna Woods.
Oh, okay.
And,
wow.
coming
Shout out Vienna Woods.
Yeah, coming from the northeast end to out there, these are 4-bedroom houses.
Yep.
I ain't never lived in nothing like this. So
I had a cousin, I don't know if you know Coach Turp. He was coaching the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the first guys who moved out there, too. It was real nice.
Yeah.
Basement, huge.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
From inner city kid living in a duplex, Section 8 over here. So it was crazy for me. So we moved over there. My mom got a little minivan, It was a little come up for us. So we moved out there, and I went to Faircrest. And, I played my 8th grade year out there, did really good.
Yeah.
And then, transitioned into the, high school. Got to high school, started as a freshman. That was really big. And then,
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah,
I was out there. Who else was out there with you? Was there any other brothers?
There was, but I don't know. You might not know. Antoine Irvin, Desmond Irvin.
Desmond, are they
Tony
brothers?
Ash. Gerald's older brother.
Oh, okay.
So they was all out there. Gerald Tony played for the Vikings back in the day.
Okay.
He was you know what I'm saying? He was the
guy.
guy. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So we moved out there, man, and things just started happening, man. Like it was one of those things, and it was a moment and a time where it just seemed like everything just good was just going. My mom graduated, and shout out to my mom. That's my superhero. My best friend, man.
That's dope.
Seeing what she was able to do, with, all the stuff like being Section 8 housing, welfare, growing up like that. Watching her put herself through nursing school at the age of 36. She graduated when she was 40.
Yeah.
So. I never saw my mom, doing any drinking, any smoking, anything wild like that. All I seen from her at an early age, from about the age of 9 to 12, was just straight work ethic, grinding, studying, and I tell everybody all the time, like, we went through all that together. So at an early age, I kind of had to step up and, be the man of the house and watch my little brother, watch my sister. We would sit outside her class. While she was going to take a test, she would give me $5 to get us some chips and a pop. And so, like, we went through that together. So for me to see her elevate herself, not complain, just work and get it done, that was a huge piece of my development, and work ethic towards anything I ever approach. And I still use that today. Like, if she can do that at 36, anything I go through and do,
and raising kids,
raising 3
powerful.
little kids,
yep,
I can do anything.
It's funny as you're talking, I'm picturing like different people you see around, I guess the city, but I remember her several times, whether I run into y'all at Walmart, wherever, and she'd have a nursing uniform on. You know, in the middle of the grind, you never
Yep.
know. But when you was mentioning that, I was thinking like I would always see her in a nursing uniform. You know,
So
that's pretty interesting.
just strong, very very driven, just a powerful woman, man. Like I don't like words can't even do it justice, man. Like just the spirit of determination, resilience, and just drive she just instilled in me from an early age. Like it shaped me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where people will say like, people will, I guess, remember more of what you do than what you say.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Especially like kids, like you can say a lot to them, but like they're gonna see and study and emulate like what you do.
Right. What is the cliche? Do what I say, not what I do.
Yeah.
You know, type of deal, and you
Yeah.
know that don't work.
Nah,
That
I
goes
wa-
into like the Charles Barkley's and people say, "Hey, I ain't in this to be a mentor." Like,
Yeah.
too late, nice try, but it goes with the territory. They watching you already.
Right.
They want your shoes. They want. They really want to be you.
Yeah.
Be like you. So when they see the flaws, it's like, maybe that is okay. I like that even with the rappers or the music. We used to get that growing up. You're going to end up like for our era, Tupac, Biggie, Ice Cube or something. We're like, no, it's just entertainment. But here it was. We was patterned. We started wearing the same clothes. I got a Raiders jacket. I was a Bo Jackson fan, right? But really because Ice Cube and them made it look good.
Yeah.
Cool. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you was like, it was happening subliminal as much as we was fighting it, but that's good. But yeah, go ahead. So, I mean, again, we're talking about your past. So the youth, the high school, and now I remember the buzz. I think I was coaching for Temkin High School. I don't know if you remember that. Y'all was Canton South, but I still had major love for y'all. Y'all was my boy Juice's young sons, and y'all was killing it.
Yeah.
Especially you was super fast, and I think I don't know if was your brother with Canton South or he already went to Massillon.
No, he was still there.
Canton South, okay. And I was coaching for Temkin, but your name was highlighted, had a circle around it, couple stars in the scouting, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the scouting report, of course it was Temkin, but still we had a lot of inner city athletes that I've coached youth league. You see what I'm saying? So it was like, wow. But I started hearing the buzz, and then Ohio State's in the play. What year was that? When were you offered?
So I mean that kind of happened early, man. I think what really put me on the map early was when we got out there to South. I was on varsity as a freshman.
Right.
So everybody's buzzing, like who's this little dude? You know what I'm saying?
freshman starting
I was a
varsity.
little skinny
Wow.
dude. My mom was nervous. Everybody was nervous for me to be out there. So
that speed obviously gave you the edge in respect to your other talents. Was you faster than like the fastest guy on varsity as a freshman?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was you running in the 40 back then?
Man, I want to say like my senior year of high school, I was probably like a 4.3 hand time.
Yeah.
My senior year of high school, like a 4.38 hand time. So I was moving. I was lighter. I was like like 175, 180. You know what I mean? So, but yeah. So I think that's what put me on the map. And then about my sophomore, I got my first letter from Ohio State as a freshman.
Oh,
but
wow.
it was just like a letter, like, hey, we see you, whatever. And then that sophomore year is when stuff really happened. We started really scoring. I filled out a little bit more. I was comfortable out there. And, me and Jakeem, we kind of like went off right
Now,
quick.
was he playing fullback and you tailback?
Yep.
And then what were you playing on defense?
Safety. So
Safety?
That
Okay.
back then, that's when we was running that wing T offense.
Okay, yeah.
So you got to think we coming from the city league where we run the I, we run sweep left, sweep right, leads. So a lot of times I was catching the ball going, lateral rather than like straight ahead. So I'm used to catching the sweep and making a move and cutting it up. Whereas now I got to get to the edge and try and do something. So for what we did that sophomore year, it was pretty good. And then that is when it really took off because that following that baseball season coming up, I don't know what it was, man, but I snapped.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was some supernatural. I think it was just God, man, because I remember and I was always good in baseball, right? And it was one of those things like I just played to play, like it was fun. You know what I mean? And of course I loved it. But I remember the first game of the season, we're going to play Marlington, right? And I'm a leadoff hitter, right? Fast guy, get on base. Mm-hmm. So we're playing against Marlington. We get off the bus, warm up, whatever. Now, this is the first pitch, first at bat. We're visitors of the whole high school season.
Right.
First pitch, dude throw, smack it right over the fence. As soon as it leave his hand, bow. I'm just like, dang. You know what I'm saying? And I had done stuff like that before, like hit a home run the first at bat, whatever. But after that, it was literally every other game I was hitting a home run.
Wow.
And I would call my mom. I would be like, hey, Mom, I hit another one. She'd be like, no, you didn't. Like, for real.
So is this, were you getting the same respect in baseball as a freshman? Were you playing with the varsity guys?
Yeah, yep. I was freshman year, I got called up to varsity, and I was up there, had a little success, nothing crazy. I think I scored one touchdown on varsity my freshman year.
So you're doing a little better?
Yeah. And just that sophomore year, I settled in.
Okay. So what about, talk to me about that. So Ohio State reaches out to you, freshman, sophomore year, and then baseball. When did you start getting offers? Or seeing major league interest?
The recruiting process started to pick up heavy, and for football, and I really didn't get any stuff for baseball until I came home one day from school and I asked my mom, did I get any mail? And it was just because the whole football thing was picking up. I'm starting to get letters now, and she was like, yeah, you got a letter from the Yankees. Wow. And I'm like, all right, Mom, whatever. But sure enough, I go to the kitchen counter, and it's a New York Yankees letter sitting there
I bet that boy was glowing.
It was already open.
Your mom already opened it up? She's like, we got to get to the bottom of this. Yeah. That's pretty dope. You still keep any of that stuff?
I got everything.
Do you for real?
Yeah.
My guy. Everything. You're a lot better than me. I didn't get recruited that heavy or nothing like that, but I just recently had a wild experience where there was some lady, I thought she was pranking my phone. She found an old box from my mom's house that was in storage. It was over 20 years old. And then you fast forward, it was like a day or two before we were supposed to be speaking to McKinley High School. So now I wasn't just talk, I actually had the letters. I mean, mine wasn't the Yankees, it wasn't even Ohio State, but it was like, several
it's
D1
dope
offers.
to see, man.
But to show the guys, that's why I just asked if you had that, because I bet that's super inspirational, or can be, with what you're into, we're going to dig into, dealing with the youth now. I think that's super dope. All right, so how was you feeling during that time? You got a letter from the Yankees, Ohio State, and you what? A sophomore at Canton South.
Yeah, I think the turning point was, so after I got that, so I'm getting letters from pretty much every school in the country now.
Yeah, go ahead and shout some out. It's all good.
Ohio State, Michigan, Notre Dame.
That's
USC,
where I wanted to go, Notre Dame. That's
Texas. Cool. I was getting them from everywhere. Man.
USC?
Yeah.
Wow. Was
USC
Reggie Bush in the mix back then?
Yeah, Reggie Bush, Ted Ginn. That was my era. So that's what I wanted to be at the time. USC didn't recruit me super heavy. Neither did Texas, just because I don't really think they recruit out their state that much.
But you got letters from them.
But the main, the top schools that hit me a lot was Ohio State, Notre Dame, LSU was a big one. They wanted me to play both down there, so it was crazy. But
so real quick, outside of your skill set, was there any other thing you were doing that kids may want to know about? Were you going to camps? Was your brother taking you to camps? Was coaches sending you to camps? Or was
to be honest, man, like I didn't hit a lot of camps.
Wow.
I think I worked extremely hard. Like my older brother was extremely hard on me growing up, man.
Right.
Just developing a mindset and a work ethic, and I wanted to. Like, I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't really understand when it comes to this whole sports thing, is that it factor. Yeah. It's a want. And I truly wanted to be great. And a lot of kids will say that.
Right.
And, my brother just happened to be a Division I football player, got scouted by the Florida Marlins for baseball, playing catcher. So.
You talking Julius?
Yeah, Julius.
Wow,
so,
I didn't know that.
You know what I mean? He's dealing with cats that's going to the league, Jason Taylors, the Will Spences. And, he was working for the Washington Redskins at the time.
Was he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. We got to shout out Juice. We got to get you on the podcast.
Yep. So
he
was around all of this. And, you know, I had a passion and a love for it. So, you know, we put it together, and all we did was work. Like you said, you would see us at the Grand Slam. You know, we'd be at the track after a baseball game.
I've witnessed him going hard on y'all, but at the same time, I'm like, I feel it.
Yeah.
Getting them together. And what I seen, whether it was totally like that or not, because me and Julius came out of high school together. So I seen like, hey, if I couldn't do it, the next best thing, let's pour it in. I seen him pouring in, family or not.
Yeah.
People could just be out. They can do all kind of other stuff with their life. He was taking the time. Like I heard somebody else mention, what was that? I want to say a coach from Florida, just something on social media. He was talking about his team gelling. He was like, I got one word that defines love to me. You want to take a guess of what it was?
Team.
It was close. It starts with a T. And he was trying to create that. They was early in camp, that chemistry and everything.
What you got? What is?
Time.
Time.
When he said it, I was like, oh, because he had me guessing. I'm looking, I'm watching a little longer. Like, where are you going with this?
Yeah.
Especially being in the coaching. You know,
Yeah.
I take notes off of a ton of other coaches, how they gel, lead, all the stuff like that. But he said time. And he was talking about, you know, spending time with each other to get to know each other. So when we go to war, you know what you can expect. You know my weaknesses too, and then vice versa. I know what I can expect. But there's a bond, kind of like when you go through 2 days with somebody, and then you see them like 10 years later. The love and the dap is still there. Like, bro, we was in the trenches together. We spent time going through tough stuff. But anyway, figured I thought that. But I seen your brother spending time at a real young age, because we was probably in our early 20s. After football and sports didn't work out. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I remember I went junior college, and he was at Akron U with my older brother. So I made All-American junior college. My last game was Minnesota Vikings Stadium, but it was junior college. So you conquered that level, but it was going to be a deal. Do I go to Akron and play with your brother, my older brother, Butchie Washington? All that. That's how I know all them. Mike Young, Rick Jones, and all them. So I'm cutting all those guys. But it's after I go down to Ohio State and try out for the team, and I didn't make it. You see what I'm saying? But then I come back, I'm kind of salty with God. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm cutting everybody else's hair, all the guys that your brother's involved with now. So I seen him during that area, and then I seen him right after pouring into you guys. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, man.
Which I thought was huge. I said, wow, he didn't shift gear like the heck with my dream. Let's pour.
He did. That was his. He did, man. I love my older brother, man. Like that was my, you know, still is my father figure. Everything that he does, you know, obviously, you know his situation is in the past and stuff like that. But he's always been just a very smart individual. He's extremely intelligent, and he's a big picture thinker.
Right.
You know, and like I say, he's just very intelligent, and he took the time to spend with me to help develop my mindset. It was, you know what I mean? It was more so my mindset and cultivated. Like it was there, you know what I mean? But he took the time to like, hey, yeah, you going to the league. And this is early.
Speak into you.
Yeah, this is like 11, 12 years old, 10 years, like you're going to the league. When you get to the league, it's going to be like this.
Yeah.
There was never any doubt. Like a lot of people don't realize that about me and DeVoe. Like we were conditioned already, like we're going to the league.
That's what I was going to ask. What's the difference in age? Because I'm sure you always got. Are you guys twins?
We're a year apart to the day.
So you're older, or is he older?
I'm older. May 3rd and then May 7th.
May 3rd? That's my little brother's
is it?
birthday. Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yep, May 3rd and May 7th.
So, and we can, you know, go there later, I guess. But I seen DeVoe like terrorizing. I'm talking like men amongst boys at Maslin. It wasn't even fair. Y'all got that old footage? I would pay to see that.
Yeah.
I was telling you, know, it's barbershop talk. So we talking trash and this and that. There's a name. You ever heard of Che Bryant?
Yeah, man.
You know
Che? Tell me about him all the time.
Dude, everybody be like, oh, who was the best? Came from this era, went to Ohio State. Even in respect to yourself. Everybody skips over Che. Like it never happens.
Man, I think just because he didn't get that, he didn't get to do his thing at Ohio State, but I've definitely heard about him.
Two-sport athlete. He was basketball and football.
Yeah.
right? So then we get to Massillon, barbershop talk here in Stark County, right? And they get to talking about all these greats. And then I noticed they didn't mention your brother's name. So I throw his name out there on the floor, like an average barbershop day that's packed. I'm like, hold on now. We skipped a major one. But I always wanted to go back and pull up. Is it on YouTube?
Yeah, I think it's some highlights on there.
Remind me of that, because I want to give him his flowers. You know what I mean? How's he doing?
He's doing all right, man.
That's my guy. Right, love him to death. I love y'all stories. And I never knew if y'all was. Oh, I doubted y'all was twins, but I didn't know who was older.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm getting older. I lost track at the time. So, but yeah, I would see him. He wore number 3. Wore number 3 for Massillon, and would just, he played linebacker and running back. Yeah. So he never came off the field. I know that. And it was men amongst boys. Did he get Mr. Football?
He should have.
Should have?
Yeah.
See, I put him in the category of like a Eric Howard. I thought he was, and I was guessing, I'm getting older, I was giving him 2-year Mr. Football, maybe candidate or something, I don't know. But super dope.
Yeah, Devon was probably one of the best football players I ever played with, man. I'm not just saying that because he's my brother. I played with a lot of, my thing about myself, man, is I've always been an extremely good athlete.
Right.
Meaning, you could put me in tennis, golf, basketball, bowling.
Yeah.
And I'm going to find a way to look the part, to do it, you know what I'm saying, pretty good.
You pretty nice at golf?
No, not right now, no.
Like,
you know what I'm saying? I've been chilling because of my
baseball
baseball
hit the ball?
swing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because baseball always heard that.
Yeah.
So I broke a sidebar. I broke a driver. Everybody died laughing. I'm like, dude, it's the size. I still don't know much about golf. It's the size of a fishing pole.
Yeah.
You know, and if you miss and hit the ground, that's an easy. They was like, don't tell nobody that. Don't tell nobody. But the dude bet me, my dude, shout out Manuel Dubos, I used to work with at a barber school in the Youngstown area. He was like, dude, if you hit the ball today, I guarantee you, you won't hit it again in 6 months. And the same thing you were saying, as an athlete, I've never been that terrible at anything until I find myself missing the ball a million times. And then when I finally do catch it, it go to the right. You know?
That golf takes some work. So I'm gonna wait till I, you know what I'm saying, like officially retire to get in that, because I don't want to mess with my swing right now. Right.
All right, yeah, I appreciate it. So digging into the past, and let me know if you feel like answering this. If not, we can skip over it. But I know you talked about your mother a whole bunch. What about your father, if you don't mind me asking? In your past.
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, he just passed away in, I think it was 22.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so it's...
Now, was he from Germany?
No, he's from Canton. He went to McKinley High School.
But he was in...
He was stationed in the Army out there.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
how many years in the Army?
I don't even really know, man. He did a good little stint with it.
Yeah.
It was you know, we didn't really have much of a relationship. I remember coming back here. He was around for a little bit and then just wasn't. Yeah. And I don't think I really realized that until I got to college. And I think I did my senior speech on this at Ohio State because, you know, that's a very pivotal time where you're developing, you know, into a man.
What, fatherhood or
just becoming a young man?
That was what your speech was on?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was on just because our coaches, you know, you're around great men at Ohio State. Right. The Jim Tressels.
Shout out Coach Tress.
Taver Johnson. The Luke Fickles, the Paul Haynes, the Coach
that's
Hazels.
Right, because Luke Fickle was on that staff, and then he was the interim coach.
So those are all of my coaches, and you watch them.
Who was your position coach?
Taver Johnson.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You watch them, and you see how they are with their family. We have family days and stuff. You see them with their wives and with their children, right? And I remember it hit me, man, like a ton of bricks. I was like, dag, like that's something like I missed out on, man. Like, and when you're getting recruited at a Division I level, it's crazy.
Right.
You don't have stuff's moving so fast, and then you add in professional baseball. So I never got the time to really sit down and digest that my father wasn't around.
Yeah.
And so finally at Ohio State, as I'm a senior and this is all coming to an end, getting ready to go to the league, I'm like, dang, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm missing something. And so I did my senior speech on that, man. And, you know.
I'm sure you wasn't alone.
No,
Especially our folks,
man,
black folks. As I was hearing your story, even right now, the little bit I knew, I was thinking like, wow. Even when you said Washington area, I thought about the average kid in this area coming up out the hood with the missing father factor, and you like shaking the dice, whether that will help you, hurt you, motivate you, or people use it as an excuse, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's what I'm getting out of your story, and what's powerful to me is you had the same set of cards, and you still made it, even though you had missing things or certain things that wasn't necessarily.
It's a lot that goes into it. I think a lot of that. I had a lot of help.
That's what I was gonna say. Who helped you? We know your brother, but who helped stand in the gap? I'm gonna guess that your mom may have not known a whole bunch of, ins and outs as far as baseball and football, especially the recruiting process. Mm-hmm. Am I halfway right with that? So who helped facilitate those deals to make sure the contract you signing with the Astros versus Ohio State, who helped facilitate those?
I think, for one, my mom was very smart too. Like she wasn't gonna let.
And that was no disrespect. I was just saying,
like she was up on stuff.
Yeah.
And just my coaches. But when I say I had a lot of help, I think more so. It was by the time I got to high school, like I knew what was going on. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I got to make sure I was on my stuff.
Yeah.
I was the kid going to meet with my counselor about my grades, what I got to have to get this ACT to get
That's
in.
a good point. Let's touch on that real quick. What'd you get on the ACT? Did you have to take it number one?
Yeah, I took that thing like 4 times.
What'd you get on it? What was the highest score?
I think the first time I got like a 17. Second time was like a 17, and then I think I finally got like an 18.
So just kept chipping?
Yeah, that wasn't my strong suit, man. Like
what was your grades like?
I always had decent grades, you know what I'm saying?
Like ABs or BCs?
I was the occasional A, B, C. I ain't gonna lie, man. But you know what I'm saying? Like
that means, so I'm asking that because that means the average kid can still keep pushing if it take you a couple cracks at it.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they gotta take ACT anymore. I don't know. I've been out of the loop.
I think they do, but I think for me, I was so engulfed in my career, like I couldn't focus on school like I needed to be. Like had I just been a student and could just focus on grades, I got all day to do this, study for these tests. Like I was going to football practices, baseball practices, showcases, tournaments. I was a professional before I was a professional.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
So were you like going, I'm thinking like summer camp. What's that look like as far as baseball? I know what football camps look like. Leaving for the summer, maybe to a spring game. What does baseball recruiting or pulling you away from your high school schedule look like? Were you going to actual games or camp type scenarios?
A lot of it was like pro showcases. One in particular I remember was the East Coast Pro Showcase. Like that's where all the top guys go. And then the
so where's something like that held at?
That was in North Carolina.
Okay.
That was in North Carolina, and then like in Florida, it was for the perfect game. So that's where you had the Jason Haywards, the Derek Dietrichs.
Wow.
The Michael Burt. Like that's where all the guys that are like top high school guys are going to those showcases to showcase their talent to get drafted.
So first time to something like that. Are you sophomore, junior?
Sophomore.
Sophomore?
Yeah.
Wow. So you was exposed to all this other stuff
early, man. It was.
How'd they treat you when you come back to schoe? Was it like, oh, he's our guy, a Kent South guy, or was it like, oh, here's Mr.
Nah,
Big
Kent
time?
South was great, man.
Okay.
I never had. I wouldn't trade my high school career for nothing. Like my coaches and my teachers were great. You know what I'm saying? My core group of friends. I mean, really, just everybody in the school. Like, I never had any racial issues. I never had any like. It just was. It was a blessing, man. Like, it was fun. So
that's dope.
You know what I mean?
Cool. All right, yeah. So let's see. So, pass. You got so much stuff, man. I gotta look at. Okay, so senior year in high school. Okay, is that where stuff is like? It's going down.
Yeah.
Have you been to Ohio State spring games by that time? Were you introduced as one that's about to be the future here at Ohio State? I'm imagining this. all the top recruits coming into your senior year? Or?
Yeah, I think like I said, the tipping point was when I got that Yankees letter, and literally like a couple days later, my teacher, Mr. Wood, he was I want to say it was history maybe.
Yeah.
He called me up to his front desk, and I was like, "Yo, what's up?" He was like, "Did you see this?" And he showed me the article, and the article was Yankees eye Torrence.
Wow.
And then ever since that day, that's when, it started getting crazy. I remember one teacher came up to me and asked me, he was the band director or whatever. He was like, "You ready to be a millionaire? Like, you got all your people lined up." And I'm 16, man.
Wow.
I don't even know what's going on fully, but I do. Like, it was just crazy. And then you get to that senior year, I'm committed to Ohio State, and I'm coming up that's the year we took Canton South to the playoffs. So you got me there. We switched to the spread offense. You got me, my cousin Bobo, Lionel's son, comes over there. Yep. You got Jakeem back. You got DeVoe, and DeVoe got his scholarship offer. So it was just crazy.
Where was he offered to?
Ohio State. DeVoe was committed to Ohio State.
Was he?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Wow. So that senior year, after going into that senior baseball season, it was a lot of pressure, more so on the baseball end than the football end, because I had my scholarship for football.
So talk to me about that pressure, because that's where I was going next. As a 16-year-old, right, high school student, born and raised here in Canton, Ohio, with all the other elements that we covered. What was the pressure like, and then how'd you deal with it? I guess where was the pressure coming from?
I think the pressure was more internal.
Okay.
Meaning? Like, it was just with myself.
Yeah.
Because I really wanted to be great, and for what I think I was doing, I don't think anybody had any experience or any answers really to help me navigate that terrain. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I got you. Did you feel like that your I know you mentioned your teachers and your coaches, were they like turning the fans? Could you feel that element, or is that extreme?
I could, man. My coaches, not so much, but definitely like the teachers and stuff like that were a little bit.
And I'm guessing if you're the only one in Stark County I can think of, two-sport athlete that played at the highest level, you had to be the only one at Camp South.
Yeah, it was just like
Did you crush all the records out there?
Yeah, and then DJ Wilson came and smacked them all.
Oh, yeah. We got to get DJ. I forgot about DJ. Yeah, because he played. Who did he play for? The Cubs?
He was with the Cubs, yeah.
Cubs? Yeah. I got a relative of his comes in here. Yeah, so that's interesting to me. So what was the offer? Because we got the barbershop version, but now that I got you here, what was your choice coming out of high school at Canton South? Was it to go sign with the Astros and never play football and just go and get paid? Or Ohio State? Or was it, because you ended up doing both, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. Talk to me about that.
So that senior year rolls around. I had to sign with an agent because it was a known fact that I was getting drafted, right?
Wow.
And
from Major League Baseball, right? Just to clear, okay.
Yep. So I would be in school, in class, and my agent would be shooting me text messages on my phone. It was nuts, man.
So you had an agent at 16, 17.
Yep.
How'd you get the agent?
So the agents, like, they come to the showcases and stuff like that. They introduce themselves.
So they approach you?
Yeah.
Wow.
And Julius was orchestrating a lot of that too. You know what I mean?
Shout out Julius again. We gotta get Julius on the podcast. That's official.
Yeah.
That's super dope.
And so the thing was that I had scholarships to pretty much every school in the country for football.
Yeah.
And baseball. So it was, wherever I went, I was going to probably do both. So any MLB team that drafted me was going to have to come with a number that was, pretty high.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
to balance out what I
was going to be getting in college.
Yeah.
So, I was asking for as close to $1 million as I could out of high school.
Yeah.
And, it was looking like I was going to get that.
Right.
The Angels came on late in the high school baseball season. And I was, advised by other scouts, like, hey, if you don't get, pretty much a mill, go back to school. Go to school and play both.
So they're kind of help navigate.
Yeah, a lot of the scouts
process.
was cool. Shout out to Eddie Santa, Mike Gibbons, Nick Venuto, the guy who actually drafted me from the area.
Wow.
Mike Farrell. I had a lot of guys, looking out for me.
Yeah.
My hitting coach, Teddy Guskoff, local guy. So, but, I was advised, like, if you're not getting a mill, then you need to go back to school. So, probably, I would say, like, a few weeks left in the high school baseball season, the Angels came on and they said, hey, like, we'll get you that number or as close to it.
Right.
So in my mind, I'm like, okay, like, I have no choice but to go ahead and let this football scholarship go.
Right.
I can't, you know what I'm saying?
That's what was interesting to me. So why, well, I guess I'm a little ahead of myself, but why'd you end up doing both? Was it for the love, for the passion? Because they obviously was going to pay you, or were you, talk to me about what space were you in when it came to making that decision?
Like I said, it came down to a number.
Okay.
And
well, you said the Angels was going to pay that number,
so
right?
The day of the draft, we're having I had a draft party, and I'm expecting to go second round to the Angels, is what they were telling me. So the second round comes by.
And you're 17 at this time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. My name didn't get called. And
so that was like a Shedeur Sanders
situation almost. Yeah, I slid all the way to the 16th round.
Wow.
And so, the Angels call my agent and say, hey, does he care what round he goes in? We're going to wait till after the 10th round and then sign him.
Right.
I said no, as long as I, get what I wanted. And the reason they do that is because with a lot of two-sport guys, guys will draft you and then they'll say, hey, I need $2 million now. And then they don't sign because they didn't get that. Now a team loses their second round draft pick.
Oh, okay.
Because you decided to go to school and you mess up what they had going on.
Right.
So I was like, no. And then the Astros called me and was like, hey, listen, we figured you'd be gone by now. We're going to take you here. And my agent begged them not to draft me at the time.
Why was that?
Because they couldn't give me the number that I wanted.
Wow.
So they ended up drafting me. And it was one of those situations like, do I go to play pro baseball for this number, which I'm worth more than this?
Right.
Or do I go to Ohio State and play both?
Right.
And I was leaning to go towards Ohio State to play both.
Right.
And
especially since they didn't give you that number that you was going to get from the Angels.
Right, yeah.
That makes sense.
And I remember being in Massillon because DeVoe had just transferred, and I was watching an old Ohio State-Michigan game on ESPN Classic. And this was like the day or two before I had to make the decision, too.
Right.
And I was praying a lot, man, like asking God, like help me, dude. I don't know what to do here.
Right.
And Drew Henson was the quarterback for Michigan. And he was in the New York Yankees farm system. I think he pitched or played first base or something.
Right.
While he was playing quarterback for Michigan. And I didn't even know you could do this.
Right.
So it was my idea. I called my agent. I'm like, yo, what about this? He calls the scout that drafted me, Nick Venuto. And Nick calls me like, Devon, I think you can do it. Let's get it done. He was like, call Tressel, see if he's with it. I called Tress. Tress being the guy that he is, was like, yeah, man, let me check with compliance.
So you negotiating your own deal.
You know what I'm saying? I had to.
Shout out to the, young
man.
agent. You was 17 doing this?
Mm-hmm.
That's dope.
I had to figure out something. So we end up signing, and we got all this stuff on camera, man. Like all this stuff on footage, all of it.
We got to get a clip. Add one little clip. We could add it to this video here.
Yep.
I love Coach Tressel. Me and Kenny Peterson is pretty tight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he was here 1 year, maybe a year or two ago. He was the keynote for all the head principals and superintendents for Stark County. And he shouted Kenny out, shouted Bernie Kosar out, But Tressel, he always seems solid from the outside looking in.
Probably one of the best men I've ever met.
Wow.
Man.
I hear that from a lot of people. That's dope.
Great, man.
Seemed genuine, too. I ain't shook his hand but a couple of times, but
Yeah.
Yeah, so you get Tressel on the phone. That's huge that you can negotiate. Hey, I know you guys are recruiting me, but I got other fish to fry. I got other deals on the table.
Yeah.
So you negotiated the deal, and he gave you the A-OK to do both. So in a quick way, I guess, what'd that schedule look like?
So I ended up signing with the Astros. I reported to rookie ball with the Greenville Astros. That's their rookie ball affiliated team. It was in Greenville, Tennessee.
Okay.
So I was there for short. It's considered short season. So I did that for 2 months, and then I went to football camp my freshman year.
Wow.
So now, mind you, all of the guys, incoming freshmen, were already there over the summer.
Yeah.
Right, conditioning with the team, learning plays, doing all that stuff.
But then they probably saying your name.
Yeah, wait till Devon gets here.
Did that give you a little bit more confidence, though? Because you coming off I'm guessing you was already getting paid.
Yeah.
From the Astros, right?
Yeah.
So you're already a professional, and then you coming in here at the Ohio State University as a full ride scholarship athlete. That's pretty dope. Did you feel a step ahead or a step behind or just right in sync, or how was you feeling when you got to football camp? Because they already got you working out baseball.
I think I didn't feel like I was behind or anything like that. I think, it just was what it was. I didn't really feel like any type of way. I know I showed up and I was
about ahead in any way? I guess I'm dreaming up. Hey, I'm already getting paid. I
did feel like I was ahead as far as the financial aspect goes. All them guys, they're not getting.
They're not professionals.
Yeah. So
and it wasn't an NIL situation either.
So yeah, I think in dealing with that mindset and having to deal with contracts and carry myself like a professional.
Yeah.
I think I was, what I'm saying, like that, a little bit ahead of those guys. I think they were more in shape than me going into my freshman year or whatever. But
football shape versus
just
you obviously wouldn't have been playing professional baseball if you wasn't in shape and
it's different though. That summer conditioning is
at Ohio State.
Yeah, it's way different. So shout out to all my guys up there.
Name some of them guys.
Boom Herron,
Warren, right?
Dane Sanzenbacher was there.
Who was the QB?
At that time, I want to say it was Todd Beckman. Okay. Was the guy my freshman year. Beanie Wells,
Okay, Beanie, yeah.
He helped me out a lot throughout that process. Who did I say? Boom, Dane, Torrence, Washington. Those are all the guys in my class. Nate
Pryor
Oliver,
was Pryor there?
Not yet. He came the next year.
Okay.
Him and DeVere Posey, Mike Allen. That was DeVoe's class.
Wow. So, that's a nice group, though. You still in touch with any of those guys?
Yeah, we talk back and forth, social media and stuff like that. But, guys are, off living life and stuff. So,
yeah, that's pretty cool. So, all right, if we fast forward Ohio State, you ended up a starter. Third year, fourth year?
As a junior.
As a junior, yeah. But you're still playing baseball.
Yep.
Is that getting better? Are you with the official Astros at that time?
No, so I did that freshman year rookie year, freshman football, and then I was at receiver, right?
Okay.
My whole freshman year. And then going into that spring ball, I had a meeting with Coach Hazel, the receivers coach, and he's like, you're one of our fastest guys from A to B. You got to have a big spring, And I'm looking at it like I'm coming for the starting spot.
Right.
You know what I mean? The slot, one of the slot receivers at the time.
Yeah.
Ended up pulling my hamstring and then getting that together, going back to baseball again. I repeated, meaning I went back to rookie ball one more time, short season.
Right.
So I finished that and then come back to football as a sophomore, and they changed my position to straight defense.
Oh, wow.
And I really didn't, I wasn't feeling that.
But I'm going to give you your flowers again. Your skill set that I remember even coaching against you in high school, it was like a Travis Hunter type of scenario. You could have played either way, either side of the ball. And to that statement, proof was Ohio State tried you both sides.
Yeah.
Right? I thought you was more like, remember Dontre Wilson? He came after you.
Yeah, I remember
Played
him.
with Carlos Hyde now?
Yeah.
I thought you was that type. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that offense when they used to have Carlos Hyde, but they always had Dontre Wilson, the speed guy. You got to respect it, but they'll fake it to him and bang it in the middle or give it to him.
Yep.
So they changed you to Safety or cornerback?
They moved me to corner just because Malcolm, I think, was getting ready to leave or he had left.
Jenkins?
Yeah, Malcolm Jenkins,
Yeah.
and we needed a guy. So I did that whole sophomore year at corner, just kind of learning it and trying to shift myself into that corner role. You know what I'm saying? So I did that, and then junior year rolls around, and it was kind of like, do I go back to baseball here, or because the position opened up the starting spot.
Right.
So do I go back to baseball, or do I stay here this summer, lock in on this position, summer conditioning, and go ahead and start. I could start for 2 years.
Yeah.
Malcolm Jenkins just got paid something crazy in the first round. I start for 2 years, do well. I'm on my way to taking care of my family. So I remember calling Ricky Bennett, who was the head of player personnel for the Astros. Great dude, black dude, man. I was always in my corner.
Right.
And just, he told me, he's like, man, Devon, go ahead, stay at football. You'll always have a home with the Astros when you finish. Mm-hmm. So that kind of took a little pressure off of having to perform in baseball. I was like, let me see what this football
That's dope.
thing.
And now, who was he? Player personnel?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, that was huge. We seen other options. He gave you.
Yeah, like he was like, we knew it was going to come to this eventually. You'll always have a home here with us, man. And
I wonder why they said that too. Obviously, your skill set, but you could play baseball older, maybe, or what? What do you think that was?
I think.
And I'm guessing. I don't know.
I think they knew that I was worth more, and it was kind of like,
go ahead and get your money, basically.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I think it was one of those situations. But then again, you never know what those guys are thinking in the front offices. So, but he pretty much gave me the okay. So,
but you locked in. You made that decision.
Mm-hmm.
You end up the starter, right,
Yep.
at Ohio State, and now you're preparing. You have success, and you're preparing for the combine, NFL combine, or where are we at?
So, I start there for 2 years. I do pretty well. I held my own. You know what I mean? Like I didn't lead the country in interceptions. I didn't have just crazy numbers.
But you started at the Ohio State University.
I did my thing, man.
That says a lot. Period. If you can get on the field at Ohio State.
Yeah. No, it does, man. People don't realize how hard it is to actually become a starter. But the combine and stuff is rolling around, and you're starting to deal with the agents and stuff again. Mm-hmm. Julius just came home. Yeah. So he was taking care of all the agent stuff and dealing with all that, and it was I guess a decision was made to go to California to train for the combine. We trained with Marv Marinovich.
Okay, I ain't familiar now.
His dad is Todd Marinovich.
Okay.
No, his son is Todd Marinovich. And looking back, man, I had all the places to go to train for the combine. You get offers and stuff like that.
Right.
So went out there to go train and everything, and trained with him. And then, the combine, and then the draft. And then I'm going undrafted. Which for me was pretty devastating, man.
Yeah, Shedeur Sanders again. Similar, right?
Yeah, I mean.
Where were you projected?
I was projected fifth through seventh round.
Okay.
That was a time for me where I think my faith in God, and my relationship with God was really challenged the most, and I think that's when I dove in it the most. That's when I said, I don't got no way of getting through this without you, man. And
well, that's my segue. The name of the podcast is Cut to the Chase. Mm-hmm. You're making this interview real easy, I got to say that. Well, you got action-packed, I can just sit back and listen, I love people's stories because I'm saying ups and downs, adversity. So talk to me about your faith. If we say cut to the chase, where does faith or your faith play a role in all these transitions?
Everywhere.
You in and out of schools, you in and out of agents' offices and phone calls and trying to maintain work, you know?
Every step of the way, my faith is, you know what I'm saying, the most important thing to me.
Yeah. So was that when you were strongest in your faith back then? Because you said it was devastating.
I think I knew at an early age, man, that like I had a special relationship with God. And not to say that it's any more special than anybody else's,
Right.
but I always wanted that
Yeah.
relationship with God ever since I was a little boy. So as I'm climbing these levels of success, I'm not really being hit with any stuff that's like, dang, like what just happened?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or anything that chipped away at my confidence. I didn't really realize my dad wasn't around. My mom did a great job.
Yeah.
I'm playing sports. I'm a kid. I'm not thinking about how wild that is that my father's not present.
Yeah.
And the impact it's going to have on me. You know what I mean? So my faith had never really been challenged until that moment when I went undrafted, because it was like I'm the guy that I make the cut.
Yeah. You
Like,
get all the trophies.
I see to it that I make the cut. You know what I'm saying? And so for that to happen to me, it was like, man, like it messed with my confidence a little bit.
Oh, I bet.
You know
Everybody wanted you, and now nobody wants you.
And not only that, I think one of the biggest things was seeing guys that I played with on my team going to that next level and then feeling like I'm left out.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that can mess with somebody the most, is feeling like you're left out, like you're not included, like that they're about to go on to this and I don't get to go. Because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even know you could sign as an undrafted free agent. I didn't even know that was a thing. In my mind, if I didn't get drafted, I don't get to play football no more. I didn't even know that could happen, right? And maybe it was just because I felt like I knew I was getting drafted. And like I said, I was projected rounds 5 through 7. So long story short, man, over the years, you know, I had to really assess that and, you know, analyze some things within myself, within, you know, who was around me and some of the decisions at that time. And I believe God really spoke to me, man, that I was going to go in the 5th round, because if I would have ran what I was supposed to run, I ran slow at the combine. I don't really like talking about it, to be honest, man.
Would you run?
I ran a 4.6, man.
Well, that's electric though, right?
Nah, listen.
Is it 2 tenths off? You tell me. I always heard that. I don't know. From a hand time, is it electric time 2
Probably
tenths?
a tenth or two, something like that. But I've never ran that in my entire life.
So say it again. What exactly did you run?
It was a 4.6.
Both times?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I wasn't really trying to get into it, but when I went to go train out in California, like, I didn't train right at all. I didn't.
That's what I'm gonna say. Would you? I wrote the guy's name. I don't know him, but I'll look it up. Did you train for the 40 as well? No. So you didn't really prep for that. What were you running on average at Ohio State when they just do?
I was a 4.4 guy, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
electric 4.4.
Yeah. So like it's like this. To me, a guy that can truly run a 4.4 is a dude that just gets up and
run a 4.4.
4.4. You go to the combine prep training, you know, they teach you about these angles, you know what I mean, how to get your start better, to knock off a couple tenths, right? I should have hit a 4.46 at the combine.
Yeah.
I didn't. And, you know, it's a touchy thing for me because my speed was always my deal, and I go and I perform.
You was running fast as that in high school.
Yeah.
Right?
So
was you bigger then? Not trying to give you an excuse.
No, I put on weight out there training. I showed up at the combine at like 197. You know what I mean? I should have been like 180, 185. I should have been running on the track. And what it is, man, and I don't want to, you know, I guess downplay anybody, but at the time, Marv Marinovich was a little bit older. he's probably about 70 at the time.
Maybe a little out of touch. What's going on?
And like I said, man, I didn't train no 40s. I sublexed my shoulder a week before the combine at the All-Star game that me and Joe Morgan are both at.
What was that? Some like Senior Bowl type scenario?
Yep. It was a Texas versus the Nation, like a Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty dope. I got to get Joe Morgan. I didn't know he played in the Senior Bowl.
Yep. So yeah, it just was bad, man. And like I said, I don't really like talking about it because that was it.
I'm seeing a connection already. I'm blowing the rest of the interview. As I'm listening to you, you know the whole process. Whether it's making it to the MLB, Major League in baseball, making it to the big leagues, college football, or even pro. Because you eventually made it to the pros, regardless, right?
Yeah.
So I'm seeing you overcoming adversity, and if we fast forward it, especially what you're into now, which we'll talk about a little later, fueling other kids. Mm-hmm. I would trust you with my kid because you've been through enough, and you are relatable. You're not out of touch. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I don't think that's all the way bad. You know, I think it's how that's just my opinion, how we pivot, shout out pivot, off of those scenarios. Or if we cut to the chase, shout out cut to the chase, on what's really going on. Mm-hmm. And a lot of time is God takes us through those things to show you where you are or where you ain't. And then you talking about physically talent. It's when adversity come, what will you do? Yeah. You came up out of that though, right?
Yeah, it took a while. It took a while, man.
How long? A year? Some months?
No.
Some weeks?
Years.
Years?
Yeah.
Well, hold on. You didn't make it to the combine.
Oh, I thought you was talking about like the mental aspect of it. Like, yeah, okay. I was getting to. I signed. Like,
who'd you sign with?
I signed with the Vikings. I did good.
How long after you not getting drafted did you sign with the Vikings?
I mean, we had the lockout that year, so it had to wait for a while. But I mean, it was maybe 6 weeks, a month. So
okay. So then talk to me. Why did you struggle so much with that? With the piece that you were talking about, you said it took you years.
Because I didn't get to put my best foot forward. I've never ran a 4.6 in my life, and as a corner, that's the deal. Your speed is the thing. Mm-hmm. Right?
Did you ever get any other chances to prove that?
Yeah,
at the Vikings?
So at my pro day, I went 4.4, but it didn't matter
because they already got you kind of
combine. You know what I'm saying? And on top of all of that, I was a late bloomer at corner. Yeah. Because I was a young corner. I was playing offense, and I was doing pro baseball. So, like, you know what I mean? I needed somebody to. I was a fifth rounder, and like I said, man, like as I took time to like digest all that and realize everything, like I really felt like God said to me, like, this is what I have for you. Yeah. Because the Browns took Buster Skrine in the 5th round. That year, and so they was looking for a corner, and they came and worked me out at my facility at the Woody Hayes Center. Yeah. So I could be totally off with that. You know what I'm saying?
Now Robisky was there with you around there.
Robo was there. He was he graduated in the Malcolm Jenkins class, so a couple years before me.
Okay, because he went straight to the Browns, or did he go somewhere else first?
I think he was straight there. Yeah.
Straight to the Browns. Yeah. I remember meeting him in town one year with like Doss or Kenny and them's camp, one of the kids' football camps. But yeah, so you get to the NFL, and let me ask you this: did you have any mentors or someone you glued to that played your same position?
Yep. So when I got to Minnesota, Antoine Winfield was there.
Oh, that's my guy.
Michael Jenkins was there from Ohio State. So these are guys that are probably on the tail end of their careers.
Yeah.
But, they definitely looked out for me. Adrian Peterson was super cool. I was number 29. He was 28.
I heard that on your boys, the 99 miles per hour. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty dope. So you guys got a decent relationship, or he kind of took you under his wing, showed you some love?
I wouldn't say he took me under his wing, but he, after practices, meetings, y'all at your locker. Yeah. He just was always giving me words of encouragement. You know what I'm saying, man? Every time I look up, you making plays, man. Good job. Keep that up.
That's dope, because he ain't have to do that. He could have been like,
Yeah.
Good luck or whatever.
That was cool. I rode to practice with Donovan McNabb every day because my roommate was Joe Webb.
Wow.
Who was the backup quarterback. And yeah, you know, it was a good experience.
How was that
man.
with Donovan McNabb?
It was crazy because, you know, you play with him. I played with him
On
in
the video
game,
game.
like when I was little. So seeing that was pretty cool, man. Fred Puggett, he was there. Rick Spillman, who was the head of player development, you know, Chris Spillman's brother, they're from here.
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah.
I mean, they got in touch with me early and they was like, hey, man, you know, we know you should have got drafted or, you know what I'm saying, come here, we're going to take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, man, at that time, when I realized that you could sign as an undrafted free agent, it was one of those things like, okay, Devon, this is all happening for a reason. This is who you are, right? You come from nothing,
Right.
over on the inner city, northeast end of Canton, Ohio, like, and you got to this point. Just because you didn't get drafted to the NFL doesn't necessarily, you know what I'm saying? Like, I
Yeah.
can be the free agent guy. So I started like doing my research on undrafted guys who was successful, and it was a bunch of them. And I'm like, okay, like I get to be this success story and inspire people this way.
Right.
So I went in, you know what I mean?
How long were you with the Vikings?
I was there pretty much all of training camp. They end up releasing me, which was, you know, wild because I thought I did well. So they end up releasing me because they wanted to bring back the guy I beat out at the workout. He had known their at least this is what they told my agent.
Yeah.
He knew their system because he had been there. And if they went deep in the playoffs, they wanted to have somebody that knew the stuff. Because I didn't know nothing. I was there for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. That's what they told my agent. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But so I get released from there, and I think I was like, man, I called the Astros. Was like, hey, I don't think I'm supposed to play football. I'm ready to call
Come
back.
get me, huh?
So I called Ricky Bennett, and he was like, man, Devon, I'm sorry, you know what I'm saying, but I'm not with them anymore.
Oh, wow.
So he had got signed to the Pittsburgh Pirates. And so the whole Astros organization cleaned house. So everybody that I knew that drafted me and was there are all gone.
Wow.
So the promises that were made to me don't stand anymore because what happens is a new crew comes in and they clean house to do things their way.
Right.
So I call them, he puts me in touch with them, they bring me in, and they're like, yeah, we don't, at first they were like, we don't know you, man, but you can come. I'm thinking like, I was just the top rated prospect in the organization. Like, what do you mean you don't know me? So I go there.
Since then, what was it, a year or 2 years went by then?
No, this was literally that, after that winter, I got released from the Bengals.
Yeah.
3-4 months later, spring training.
Okay.
So I go there, and I'm not in no baseball shape. Man, I ain't played baseball. You know what I'm saying? So they end up releasing me.
That's what I was going to ask you, because not to go too far back, because last time you played baseball was what? With the Vikings or right before the Vikings?
No, this was my sophomore year.
Oh, so
college.
you didn't, I assume.
I didn't play. I wasn't playing continually. I did those 2 years, those 2 summers.
So they paid you for those 2 summers, but then you became a starter at Ohio State.
And so I
went
stopped
ahead with the
baseball for a
NFL.
while.
Okay. That's key to me, because I didn't know that. And we've had barbershop conversations about that. I thought you were doing them simultaneously, but it was kind of on and off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah. So I focused on football, NFL, a little stint with the Vikings, Bengals, and I go back to baseball. And so they released me. And because they called me in, and my homeboy, Justin Gill, which was like my best friend from high school, actually signed with him too. They released us both at this. It's not funny, but they released us both at the same time.
Yeah.
And so we're standing outside of the complex. My mom calls, right?
Right.
And she was like, yeah, you got a letter from the Bengals saying they want to bring you to the off-season program. So I'm hyped, right? Like, I'm like, okay, I got back to football, we go.
Right.
And so I call my agent. I'm like, man, like, why didn't you tell me that they were going to bring me back? He goes, they didn't get in touch with me. It might have been a mistake. And so I fly back home. I look at the letter, like my name on it and everything. I'm like, this ain't no mistake. And I kind of knew, I felt like they would have hit my agent and let him know. But I was like, I don't care. I'm going out here anyway. So get my stepdad's
you
car.
You just went in faith?
Just drove down there
Here go
because
my
you
letter.
never know.
Yeah, here go
and
my
I
letter.
did that. I pulled up to the parking
that.
lot, typed in the code, walked in, I seen Pac-Man, everybody like, what's up with it? Go to Coach Lewis's office. I was like, hey man, I need to talk to somebody about this letter. He was like, yeah, come on. So he looked at it.
That helps that you've been there before too, though.
Yeah.
Obviously.
He looked at it and was like, who's your agent? I said, Jim Iver, and he was like, yeah, man, I'm sorry, this was a mistake.
Wow.
Never forget it, man.
Wow.
And it's just like, I think at that moment right there was when I said to myself, like, God, like, I don't know what's going on, man.
Yeah,
like,
who makes mistakes at that high level like that?
Yeah.
That's almost like that. I know I keep talking about Shador because that's fresh, like that prank call, whether it was a prank or people being funny or whatnot. Real quick, you ever talk, are you good with Doss?
Yeah,
Mike
absolutely.
Doss? Did you ever hear his story when he played for the Bengals?
I heard parts of it.
You should reach out to him about that. It was dope. He actually got cut, if I could paraphrase it. My bad, Doss, if I messed the story up. Well, he came to the barbershop here and was like, dude, it's crazy. I had tried out because he was coaching at Ohio State, hyping the kids up, and he like, should I be done or should I go try? They like, go get him, go get him.
I was working out with him.
Was you? Okay.
Yeah.
So you was part of that group? You was on the team, man?
Yeah, I was working out with him when he was right before he got picked up.
That was crazy. So apparently he went to the Bengals and he didn't make the cut. He was like, dang, is it just over with? Feeling low. And he went back in there, similar to what you're saying, and was like, some coach he knew or something like that from along the way. He was like, hey, man, like, basically, how bad was it? I know I done had injuries, whatever. Did I look that bad? Because I'm thinking about just hanging it up, going to coaching, going to my regular life, or should I keep chipping, keep trying? And he was like, something to the effect that he introduced him to the head coach or whoever, and they signed him that year. Like, that was pretty bold to go back in. It took faith, number one, I'm going to say that. And we need leadership like that. Somebody like you around the locker room. They gave him like 1 year, $1 million. I don't know what that is after agent and taxes.
Yeah.
And he played 1 year. They threw him some random, all right, cool. They gave him some random number, and he went ahead to play, one of his last years in the league. So I appreciate that. We went past present. Let's talk about where you're at today. Because you obviously went ahead to play with the Jets, right? Was there any other teams we missed?
I think I did a rookie camp with Carolina, and that was pretty much it. CFL for like a couple months.
Yeah. So how'd that all bring you to this point?
So
if you want to talk about what you're into right now.
So yeah, after that, I took a couple years off. I wasn't getting any looks, and then I signed to do independent baseball in the Atlantic League, and I think that right there was a huge breakthrough for me spiritually because I was really praying a lot. I was fasting, I was reading my Bible, like I was, and really in my faith there. And I got an opportunity with my manager, Ross Peoples. Shout out to Ross Peoples, great Christian dude, brought me in, and I just happened to be what he wanted in his organization at the time. I switch hit, so I hit left hand and right hand. I was fast. He loves college football, so I was, what he was looking for.
This
so
type of guy, yeah.
Yeah, he brought me in, and I thought he was gonna cut me because I hadn't played baseball in a minute, no affiliated or whatever. But he kept me, man, and I did that for 3 years. Was trying to get picked up. So really, what that did for me. And what, looking back, I see God did there was I got the opportunity to play the baseball that I didn't get to play because of that time with football and pursuing the NFL. And I was with guys that were the same age as me that had went drafted out of high school, played the last 10 years, coming back, they're 29, 30, 31. They were the same age as me. So I did that for 4 seasons. And then when my dad passed, I kind of came back and just felt like it's time to start putting some other things together. And
when you say came back, where were you living at?
I was in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. That's where the team was at.
Yeah, all right.
So, I came back and, it was just like, man, I'm 33. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to look up and not have something stable for myself or not be fulfilled because I'm still chasing this. You know what I'm saying? And it's a young, kid's game. They're in the Dominican signing at 14 years old. Yep. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm definitely on the older end. So I came back, man, and at the time I was doing lessons in the off season and stuff, and I kind of just felt like God was speaking to me like it's time to do your own thing.
Yeah.
And I'm watching Julius transition into his entrepreneurial mindset and, you know, everything.
Life after sports.
Yeah,
Life
so
after
like
football.
I'm picking that up, you know what I mean? And that was one of the great things that I appreciate about my brother. And I'm always tell him, like, I'm glad he's there because he has to go through everything first. So I get
yeah, take the lumps.
Yeah, so I get to kind of see and be like, okay, I'm going to avoid
I ain't doing
this.
that.
Being a father, a husband.
Yeah.
And at the time I got released, I ended up signing with the Royals, but I got released and I got to live with him and see what it was like to have a family like that, you know, have a wife.
Responsibilities.
And the spiritual, like he's waking up at 4:30 in the morning, speaking in tongues, going crazy with it. Like,
charging
you know,
up.
like, and it's like, I've never witnessed anything like that, you know, from that prophetic standpoint. And it was just amazing to see, you know what I'm saying? So I got to witness that, and those are things that I needed to become the next version of myself, you know, the leader, the family, you know what I'm saying, a father, things like that. So, but yeah, that's been pretty much it. I came back and I opened up the facility here.
I love it. Talk to us a little bit about that as we got a few more minutes, but I definitely wanted to take some time and let you even advertise and just highlight where's the facility located and what all do you guys do?
So yeah, it's right here on the northeast end of Canton, literally in the same neighborhood I grew up in.
Dope. That makes sense.
You know,
I still got to get by there. That's my bad.
Yeah, come check it out.
You gave
man.
me the invitation.
Come check it out. But
what all you guys do?
Speed and agility.
Okay.
Baseball, hitting lessons. And as of right now, like I'm putting together, you know, so it's all still kind of coming together.
Right.
I'm putting together a team of, you know, softball instructors. I got a girl named Autumn. She comes in. She does pitching for the girls.
Okay.
Putting together some other people in there to do some like fitness classes in the morning and stuff like that. But then I have the old Fisher baseball field. I got those.
Okay.
Remodeled them this last summer. So that's pretty much what I've been doing. I started the Devon, Torrence Foundation.
Okay.
So just trying to do something for the kids, man, and provide the opportunities that I did get and the ones that I didn't get growing up in the neighborhood.
Sounds like development. You know, I know you're into growth and development with young athletes, but as we wrap it up, what I'm saying is I appreciate you again doing the interview, how God built you up. A lot of time we be so close to it, we can't see it. So you can feel all the pressures. It seems like the ups and downs of what a young athlete, especially African-American, especially with the father either there or partially there.
Yeah.
So now it seems like you're that guy. The coach that was along the way with us, a Coach Tressel. Now it's a Coach Torrence.
Yep.
Anybody call you Coach Torrence yet?
Yeah, it messed me up.
It's a strange feeling, ain't it?
No, they started hitting me with the unk, and that really threw me out.
Unc's disrespectful.
Yeah.
Don't let him fool you. Unc's like borderline disrespectful.
man.
I've seen that. But yeah, that's awesome, man. So I'm excited. I'll definitely be by the facility sooner than later. And, you know, I'm good for one session. Give me the big boys. I'll help them sweat down.
Yeah.
But even I got a young son that's 7 years old, so he can use some footwork training and stuff. I might play a role there with the football guys. I don't know baseball, you know. I have them striking out. It'll be bad.
No, I get it. I'll get him together, man.
Yeah. But, yeah, man, so is there anything that you'd like to say, you know, I'm picturing to a kid that may be in either one of those stages, either young, father in and out, underprivileged situation, or in high school, with or without the talent, right? Plate is full, especially nowadays with social media, or college, because you made it to those levels, or even a frustrated guy, frustrated kid that's even in the pros, but ain't really getting that full look. Even with the draft just being this past week, all the frustrations, if you can picture one or two kids on either of those levels, because you have the experience, what advice would you give them?
I think first and foremost, man, is keep God first. You know what I mean? And I hate to say this, but a lot of people say that, right?
Right.
I think really, no matter what, keep them first. Because there'll be times where you're not cool with it. You know what I'm saying? Like you're upset with him and stuff. But it's like doing it even though you don't want to do it. And I think a lot of people, myself included, you know what I'm saying? We go through phases where we're like, I'm not gonna read my Bible. I'm not gonna pray. I'm not gonna talk to God. But finding a way to maintain that relationship with him regardless if you're not feeling what he's got you on at that time.
Yeah.
So definitely keeping your relationship and maintaining your faith with God, and be very proactive in your approach to your career. Take your career seriously, and always remember that there's a ton of talent out there, right? But, you know, it's your character. Like, your talent will get you in the door, but it's your character that's going to keep you there. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a quote that I've heard and it always stuck with me. And that's one of the things that I've always prided myself on is, you know, being somebody that, you know, people speak highly of. I'm always trying to carry myself in a, you know, a upright, good, you know, standing fashion. So definitely, yeah, being proactive, your character, and listen to the older people around you. You know, get as much wisdom as you can. I think, you know, right now there's a lack of respect for authority in our society. And that's a whole nother subject. But I definitely think like if I was a young athlete, ask as many questions as you can, get around some older cats that can give you advice and wisdom to help guide you in the right direction. And, you know, one of the things my mom always told me was go by yourself and come back by yourself.
I like that.
And she said some other things. I'm not going to say it on here, but, you know, that was one of the things, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't always have to be with your boys or, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to take time to focus on what you want to do for your future. You know what I mean? Nobody should tell you to have to do your homework. Nobody should tell you to have to go work out. You know, and you're a professional before you're a professional. So, I mean, I think if I was talking to somebody who had those aspirations of, you know, achieving some, you know, college goals, trying to get to the pros, man, be proactive, keep God first, and, you know, stay out the way. You know what I mean?
I love it. It seemed like you did an excellent job of that. I give you your props again because I didn't hear all kind of stories. And then I got caught up with my boy. I got pulled over, or they had to come get me out of jail, and they had to. You know, those are typical stories. I don't know if you can see that angle.
Yeah.
But you've won in all those areas. So whatever God put inside you, I think you're a great example for the young kids coming up. And it sounds like you're just getting started.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, because as a coach, it's really, really interesting. I coached from youth league to high school, maybe 15. I look up about 20 years. And that's something. Recently, we cut the Pittsburgh Steelers about 2 years ago. It's like God finally gave you your heart's desires. And the second day we were out there, we were in the middle. I might have told you this story. We were in the middle of the locker room at a Bible study. I said, man, God got a way of setting you up. My heart was beating fast, I almost passed out. I'm like, oh, God, not now. But you can hear him saying, say it. I'm looking at Cam Hayward, Minka Fitzpatrick, and all these guys. I knew way more than them biblically, like more Bible than them. So I had to raise my hand and talk to the chaplain, like, can I add to what you're saying? And then it was like purpose was fulfilled. It was a good feeling.
Yeah.
And guess what? I'm like, man, if I had a chance to play, still take advantage of the moment. Then God shifted it. Look at the coaches. The OG coaches, guess how old they was? 62 years old.
Yeah.
The quarterback coach.
Yeah.
The DB coach is about my age or maybe a little older. I would cut his hair pretty faithfully. And I'm thinking like, wow, so you really still can go if you want to. Ain't that something?
Yeah.
But it may not be playing the role because when we give our life to Christ, it's what he wants to use you for, not what you want.
Yeah.
I was upset with God when my playing days was over to the point so where even when I tried out for Ohio State, the workout group just for walk-ons that we created, 4 people, they only picked 4 people. It wasn't under Tressel, it was under Cooper. 3 of them was from the workout group that helped orchestrate. I was pretty selfish. I'm like, man, I didn't make it. But then you look coaching-wise, it was a shift that I was kind of ignorant to. God was taking me into coaching, Joe Morgan, Morgan Williams, Raymar, all these guys who could pour I would take my spikes and go to the youth league football team.
I think
it was pretty bad.
If I could add one more thing before we go, I think
sir.
For anybody out there who, like I said, wants to achieve success, or you're in a situation where you know, you're knocking on the door of success, right? And you're not getting the due justice that you feel or those opportunities that you feel.
Right.
For me, I put so much emphasis on the opinions of those people making those decisions, right? And it was almost like growing up, I've always had these superpowers of being this extremely great athlete, right? Mm-hmm. And then they tell me no. And it's like, you guys are saying that my gift or my powers aren't good enough. Mm-hmm. And so I had to really ask myself, like, do I really feel like that? Is that the case? Are they right?
Right.
And the truth of the matter is that they're not, right?
And most of the people evaluating you never had that skill set anyway.
Or they're biased for whatever reason. It came down to this decision. It was, you know what I'm saying?
It's a business.
There's so many things. Exactly. So it's a business. So don't ever question your talent, right? It may be that your skill set, your talent is good enough. There's just not enough room, right? There's 52 spots on the NFL roster, maybe less now, right? There's 40 roster spots on the MLB roster. Right. Only so many people are going to make it to an A-list celebrity as in Hollywood. That doesn't stop you from still having that gift and ability. So be confident in that, rest in that, and know that regardless of their perception of you, that you're still great and that God still gave you a gift, right? Their yes is, you know what I'm saying, like, not your no, basically.
I love it. And in the meanwhile, if they need to sharpen up their gifts and talents and stuff, shout out your gym's name.
Oh, yeah. Torrence Academy. We do speed and agility, hitting lessons, man. Come sign them up. We're putting together softball. And
is there social media or anything?
Yep. Follow the Torrence Academy on Instagram.
Okay.
And yeah, we're doing softball, baseball, and we'll be putting together a, travel football team here in the future. So
I love it. All right. It's been real. Love you, man.
Appreciate
love your story.
You, man.
Appreciate the interview.
Yep.
You fill in some blanks so we ain't got to be making up barbershop stuff and, you know what I'm saying, wondering and making. But again, just to give you your flowers, keep chipping. A lot of time you're going on this journey not for yourself. You don't understand the crowd that's going to benefit. I see God filling up your training facility, jamming packed full your academy with not only teachers, because now you're a teacher. You was coaching me as you was talking. You see what I'm saying? I was just, thinking, back through your own life and stuff like that. So you got a cool story, powerful testimony. Don't be boxed in or afraid. I don't want to use that word. Don't be apprehensive of sharing that. You see what I'm saying? Because it's powerful. That means you can show people how to make it to the major league, in baseball, big time football, and even NFL football. But more importantly, you can show them how to play this other game that a lot of time we don't see, the game of life.
Absolutely.
You were in that game all along, regardless of the team, regardless of the place, and it's just another chapter, right? I'm excited for you.
Thank you,
I'm
man.
Be shouting you over. We're going to be bringing kids. It's going to be crazy. Yep. You're going to help me lose some weight as I coach some kids. Much love, man. Cut to the chase. Devon, Torrence, appreciate you guys. Awesome story. If you got kids, let's support it. And this is our own. This is our local Deion Sanders. This is our local Travis Hunter. He don't want to say it. It's better if we say it. So cut to the chase. Another episode in a minute. Much love, man.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.